So, hectic day today, and my previous video stopped at something to do with footages. I was talking about the Uranus cycle. To complete that, just before I move on, as right now is Sol night, Jupiter, not Sol night, Venus night. Nou ja, Jupiter night, Jupiter day would be Sol night, right? Yes. Moon night, Luna night. Oh, Luna. And the moon is in 15 degrees Taurus on my sun. So I'm getting happy Luna in Taurus vibes, albeit the World War and such. By the way, there's a Mr. Bean for the World War. I'm still watching it, if you're interested. I was thinking about the Uranus generations and people that went through I was given a more rich example of both the good, the bad, and the evil, and the everything associated. And as I was given that example, something came up with the footages. I also already began to talk about that. Before that, let's complete that with the Uranus opposition. Now, I'm entering my Uranus opposition so far single. It will take time. It will take a couple of years because the ingress to Gemini starts this year, but I have Uranus 12 degrees Sag, so that would be in my mid-40s. Life begins at 40. And the Uranus opposition is kind of like the sandwich children, but they already have, just like they're not going through the horrors of the youngsters, hopefully, but they already have kind of like a grown adult feature to that, but it's kind of like a second teenagehood. So I have to admit that going into that so far single is great money saver, because that's so much saving on divorce expenses. And yeah, I have to admit that the Uranus-Taurus oppositions humbled me, because I was like, you think, oh, the person would get a Ferrari, and that was a little bit more than that, because and I think that towards the ingress, we're going to have the finalization of the Uranus-Taurus oppositions. And with the Uranus Beta per se, I think a lot of people get a lot of backlash for stuff they did or involved with, especially what was sexual related and stuff like that. So, or especially astral sexual related. So it's kind of like, well, should have gotten that Ferrari. So, long story short, okay. So this is by far what I have to say about the Uranus opposition. I haven't been through my Uranus opposition yet. I'm going to begin the ingress this year, and it's going to begin with Uranus going on my 4th house on Chiron with Sedna. I don't know if I'll get to my Uranus, but I've been saying that for so many years, so who knows? Yes, that's a good answer. Now let's talk about footage. I began to talk about the Uranus Sedna with footages, but also the Rahu Neptune. We're gonna get a lot of footages leaked. Okay? I said what I said. And the thing is that the shifting of the frame, especially with Uranus in Taurus, and the revolutionary way we see things, you want to think about dumb stuff people made before the Me Too and dumb stuff people make it after the Me Too. And even they made a dumb stuff before the Me Too, and you're like, oh, that, let's put it that way. Before the Me Too, let's talk about Norway. And in Oslo, there was a criticism of the girls that were dating refugees or something like that, and it was called the rape capital. Some people were calling these girls, I'm sorry, come dumpster. Now you want to think about it, it's 2020, we're in 2024, almost 2025, okay? How would that notion would be perceived today? Okay, how would a person saying that or thinking that or commenting that would be perceived today. Okay, you want to hold that moment for the sink in, and you want to understand that this year on a better per se. I'm going to put it like this. When Mark Rutte talked about the possibility of a third world war, he said, well, if Putin wants war he will have. And now he's saying if we don't want war, we're going to have to pay more. I don't know what it means. But the thing is, money has to change hands, you see. And they need to launder it, and it needs to change hands. But the thing is, he said, if Putin wants war, we're going to see something on a small scale. We saw it in World War II. Okay, so you want to think about the better per se. And think about it on a small scale. We saw it when the Hitler footages began to leak. Now, Mars is action. Mars opposing Pluto is also rapey action. Neptune is leaking. Who do you think would be positioned as the loser in the situation? The victim or the people that were orchestrating the dumb fuckery? People counting on them not being in a camera, I wouldn't count on that. For example, I know I'm on camera. I know that I am probably victim of that. I know that. As I sit with here talking to you, I know that. I even know some scenarios what they did and they would edit with AI. I know that. That was the safety house that I was living in that village. And that began since Saturn ingressed into Aquarius. And that began maybe in 2017, but I don't know. And that began maybe since 2007, when they were targeting my mother. But the mother had a daughter, so it's a nice movie, right? And with AI, you can make it. But the thing is, who's going to be seen as the loser? And another thing is, you think that there aren't cameras targeting you. I don't know if you walk around like the Taliban or something, like the burqa with all on your body, then you're right, maybe, if that's the case. You don't ever take anything down, you don't ever shower. I don't know, maybe that's the case. That's where they want you. That's where they want you, man or woman. That's where they want you. They want you to start covering yourself. They want you to start worrying about which footages. Okay, they're probably taking a picture of me of my phone and they would see a giant nostril. Now let's speak my nose for them. They want you to be afraid to walk here, be afraid to walk there. They want you not traveling. That's what they want. They want you not talking. They want you... Like, you see, that thing, it leads nowhere because essentially it's impossible, right? But I wouldn't count if you think you were not caught on camera, my darling. I hold a dear place in my heart for you. If you think your money moves, if the word money moves, and they surely are, nobody's there to do a student film. If you think your money moves weren't caught, you better bet when the currency changes, it's money time. So Peter Ort was a cum dumpster? And taking footage of the camera, because I don't cover the camera, and then putting it with AI, you think that we don't have the technology to tell the difference? Because there is. Now that's the thing. When I began to tend to expandable children, do you think I did not take into account that they're gonna try to frame me first? Do you think I didn't already deal with that as I escaped my psychologist that was harming children and deciding which child to kidnap? Do you think he did not try to frame me as pedophile? Do you think they did not try to frame my mother as pedophile? Do you think I did not take that into account and said I'm going to talk about these children anyway? Because when it all comes down to the ritual abuse that's going on today. That's your next generation of leaders. So they're going to take the Rutte down, the Wilders down, the Musk down, the Orange Jesus down, okay? And then the younger generations, the ones that are going to be 40 in a couple of years, okay? All the Thierry Baudet. If you know, you know. You know, if you're affiliated with that, then you know what you're affiliated with, okay? And then they're going to put it with the AI, and the next generation of people that's supposed to enforce that, they're already up and running. We tend to that when we tend to satanic ritual abuse, not when we use that guy's a Peter Ring, that guy's a Peter Ring, that guy's a Peter. Let me tell you something, all of them. All of them. What's the difference between my very shadow banned account and any of the visibles, even those that got cancelled and then jumped up? Very, very, very big difference, okay? So I had the privilege to live outside the cult, so I don't have the privilege to have a makeup team and artist team, okay? I'm very happy that I was born outside the cult still. But they were born inside the cult, or were trafficked into it very early on. That's the difference between us. I stay humble. And you see, the Rahu Neptune is exactly also about that. Okay? Footages leaking. It's exactly about that. And you see, it begins with, what? That person was stupid. Why they were going to that house? And it continues with, hey, that person was stupid. Why are they getting on that ride? And it continues with, oh, that was gold digger. Why did they get on that plane? And proceeds with, why they sitting naked in the porch, masturbating? Why the fuck not? I pay half my out caring for that. The hell if I don't, the hell if I do, the hell if I don't. And you continue that, why you bathing naked in the sun? The fuck not. It's my porch. I pay the rent. I'm a sunbathe whenever I wanna. You got nothing to do? Because if you got a free time, I want you sunbathe somewhere. Would be better time for you. You spend that time looking at me. You ain't getting no sunshine. If you had leaned on a little bit more to the willing consent, who knows, you might be sunbathing with me naked. But you're a little bit less to the willing consent, so you'd be watching satellites. Then they're gonna edit that. They can edit any freaking thing they fucking wanna. You make a picture for the passport, right? Good morning, you raped a child. Good morning, you sucked some horse's dick. Good morning, you're a cum dumpster. I saw Shimon Peres. Shimon Peres died a while ago. He died very old. He died in 96. Nobody thought he was ever gonna die. Then one day he died, and we're like, how did that happen? And then I see an advertisement telling me what to invest in. They can do that. Who knows? Let's do a bingo. What do you think I'm advertising? Balenciaga? GoFundMe for Joris Demming? Equity in the red light district? Boli call is managed by the Robo Bank. Okay, there's 4 options. See, this is the age of AI. Now, of course, footages are going to leak. But you see, there's a surprising factor, because Mars is applying to oppose Pluto again. It's also sextiling Uranus and trining Neptune. If you thought you were off camera, think again. If you thought your money moves were hidden, think again. Somebody money laundered that. I was just tending to Esther Paul case for the Peter R. de Vries Foundation today. She said 5 years in jail for a small money launder that she did with weed. Okay, the weed business was legal, but she had a money launder through this. Okay, now for that person that got caught, okay, how many people that thought they are behind the camera got caught? That's why she was assassinated. Mars Pluto is snuff films. With Venus, also women. Sextile Uranus Remedius, that could be arranged by AI, some of it. Trine Neptune, okay, something leaks. It's not secret. Now, we don't know what will leak, what will not. Maybe you'll get away with that, maybe you won't. That's how it goes. But you gotta know how this cult works. It's going to get you, it's going to frame someone, and it's going to frame someone so much that you would do things, and then it's going to show you who you did that to. Now, another thing about those types of assassinations, okay, and it's also it's a type of causing betrayal, okay. Another thing about that is that what they attempt to assassinate is not a person, but an idea. And I talked about it on my Instagram, okay. Yitzhak Rabin, he was assassinated by Israeli citizen. Better are the Freeze. I don't know who assassinated Shinzo Abe. Okay. JFK by the secret societies that he advocated for in the beginning. Then he said it's to have a plan to destroy humanity. The secret society, CIA, same. Better are the Freeze. Okay. Moroccan involved in the shooting. He was the biggest advocate for Moroccan society in the Netherlands. Now his son defending Ukrainian refugees. Should I go on? They don't try to assassinate a person. They try to assassinate a legacy. When I was 12 years old, Yitzhak Rabin was murdered. And that indeed was, unfortunately, a very successful job. I did not even think to go to politics. Definitely not to make peace. A 12 years old child, so, but everybody that will try to make peace, not only will they die, but they will be replaced in elections, okay? That's what my generation saw. JFK managed to abort a world war. Then he died. Hussein, king of Jordan, okay? He took a bullet, but he signed a peace contract that still stands today. Still today. We had, with none of the refugees were brought to us by the country that somebody escaped across the border illegally, then the country brings that back the person, safe and sound. Okay, that happened in Jordan, right before 7th October. Some guy crossed the border, okay? Some good Jordanians found them and made sure that they safely can return to Israel. That's still our relationship with Jordan. Maybe not today, but the amount of effort that was made to change what Hussein did, and then of course Rabin would go for that bullet, okay, would go for that Hussein. Everybody knew that, and they tried to abort that so there would not be another King Hussein. When Peter spoke against the WHO, and you'll barely hear that. You have to dig deep to see what he was speaking about, because like, oh, the war on drugs is lost, okay? But he doesn't tell you why. He doesn't tell you what's the point, because they're going to take down the drug lords, as was with Marengo process. But who's gonna? Who? And what is who is MK Ultra all across the globe. For everyone. You don't know what it is? Listen to the war veterans, listen to survivors, men and women. This is how they do these political assassinations. And they try to frame you in such a way, because it's enough that they got Peter to vouch for Deming, and we all know how. He was born inside these societies, these elite societies, okay? It's a Disney death camp, very simply put. As Rutte, as Wilders, as Peter, very simply put, okay? All they had to do is show some movie. And show it, especially after somebody being tortured in the same scenario. Then Peter had to vouch for Deming. Who's going to watch him helping a young woman that had her intimate film spread to internet? Nobody would see that. Just see Peter vouch for Deming, okay? When they frame you, that's the algorithm, that's the people you run into, that's dream work. Somebody tries to get into my dream and make me miss the train back to my city today. It goes all the way to create an entire world around a person. And they work on exactly any prejudice you have, they work on it. This is why when I talked today about the 19th Amendment, and I said, you're given a rope, you can hang yourself with it or you can climb up the cave. Because if the cult works on degrading women and even men to make them, oh, you're like a woman, and that's degrading, then they're going to pinpoint that. As long as they can take you on that, you're done. It's going to be very easy. You see, when my muckler assaulted me, okay, immediately I saw there was some human trafficking deal going on, and I put 1 + 1. That was his estate. He built that his estate. He lived there for 40 years with the family. Not 40 years, at least he lived there with the family. Then the children moved out. But that money, the lawyer, I didn't take into account that the lawyer was probably about debt and confiscation, because he told me he has 100 estate that he runs. And I made a 1 + 1. I said, okay, I know the traffickers are coming. They're probably onto him. And I told him, listen, for these guys that come in, 100 estates for them is nothing. I wasn't trying to demote him when I said that even. Business. 100 estates is nothing. They're not intending to keep you alive. What you can do about it, you sold half the city to people that practice satanic ritual abuse, okay? Not the commoners. The commoners are good people. But the upper rank. And they take the children of the commoners. I have a neighbor that's stuttering. And I know what is coming from. Okay? In this case. Not every case of stuttering, okay? Just don't gotta get on me there. But I know. I said, well, you gotta dig them up from the caves. You have 100 estates, they're gonna need houses. That's what you can do about it. You can go Mandela on it, okay? Because that is the bigger issue. That's how you save the business from that karma, because they're gonna come a bigger fish and they're gonna eat the smaller fish. That's it. It's not about emoting. It's not about ego. The MK Ultra him good, that's for sure, to get him to do that dumb fuckery. Now it gets him on the fact that if I go in the summer, I go with a shirt, okay? I'm a secular person. That gets him. I walk single, happy. Why am I happy? Why am I single? Why don't I have 6, 7 kids? Why don't I wear a wig? Okay? That gets to him. Because he was promised something, and I was framed in a certain way. Now, if you have that, if you go to those things, they take you up on those things. They take you up on those things. And when they can take you up on that, they can get you to do stuff. And what they get you to do, then they're going to say, hey, look, this is the person. They're actually like this. They're not like that. It is karma. Okay? But it's not karma because they ticked you up so that they can tick you off. Because to them, you're like a tick. You smash it. It's a computer running the business. And you're nothing but a bunch of data to them. So am I for them. But the money launderers, they gotta make the money move. And I guess they're dead if they don't do so many quota. Okay, if you listen to Ronald Bernard, okay, you had to do that and that or you would be dead. Even when you were working supposedly for the light, for the cover-up project. Okay, he said when he became entrepreneur, he was always entrepreneur, but he became entrepreneur and he left the cult. He said, it's difficult for him to work with people because he knew the people that he could work with, he could rely on, because if they didn't do it, they were dead. And he was used to that type of discipline, okay? It's inhumane, but he was used to that. Now it's difficult to get people to run because you have to learn a whole new human resources. You think about the man going from Africa, beating his wife, that's what he knows, okay? And then he has to learn a whole new set of communication skill. Now you want to do good, you want to run a family, but you don't know how to do it. And you end up in jail. It's like, you can't beat the wife here. And that is what the sets of morals, the sets of standards, the sets of these things. So, first of all, you got to understand a little bit of what the world that you're living in and what people see is going to be difficult for you because the algorithm is going to adjust to your worldview. For some of you, it's the first or second Saturn return. Okay? Now, Saturn asks us to go maturely. For example, for my Saturn maturation, some of you have Saturn maturation, okay? Talk about the 28, the 35, 36, and you talk about the 54. Yeah, 54s. But for some of you, okay, it begins in a certain place. For some of you, it's all the way to 56, 57. And even 58. Okay, it's just Saturn. It's with the retrogrades and so on. But the thing is that when I take a look at my Saturn return, for example, was about looking to the nitty-gritty of was to end life, and I got funding for a degree. Okay, so I began to work on an actual degree. It's like, hey, that's a commitment that I can undertake, and this is, how should you say, an entrapment that I was okay with. Very, very challenging, very, very tough, but I did that. With my Saturn maturation, it was taking a look at the real estate, or the actual situation of the real estate. Saturn return, I was moving out. Only Saturn return. Because every time I tried to get a job, okay, there would be no use, because I would have to go for corruption if I wanted out. Then I had to say no to corruption. Stay at home with your mom. That's what it means. It's not about having to support a parent, because at that age I could already be a mother to two children and a single mom. I should have been able to support that. What's one parent that already has some money? You basically have to share dividends as equal. So let's say you pay the rent, they pay the food, something like that, okay? Then interest crisis, and there goes the food, there goes the rent. Very simply put, you work 2-3 jobs, it goes to the bank over nothing. That was 2008. But the thing is, '36, I saw that therapy was not exactly therapy. They told me all my life, you have to talk about the trauma. Then you talk about the trauma, finally. And then, good morning, MK Ultra. That's what they do to the veterans. When I said when I said I'm Me Too veteran, that's what they did to the veterans. The war veterans, the same. You have to talk about the trauma. You have to this, you have to that. They want the money out. Okay, they want what do you know? And then, kaput, I'll go. Or they get real creative, like Pastor Van der Kolk. Yeah, you get rid of it by raping a woman. Now, the teaching of taking the energy out of the body is a true teaching, not beating up the other person. The teaching of fending for yourself is a good teaching, not raping unrelated people. Okay? Like, just to make that clear, because there are some people that studied in Ivy League that thought that no Germans died in the bombing of Dresden. History is a fluid concept, I guess. You see, Churchill said, I know I'm going to be listed as a winner because history is written by the winners and so on. But according to Ivy League, then not so, because no Germans died in Dresden. You don't have to know entire history, right? I mean, we never learned that Hitler was a painter, and it wasn't until he got homeless and went on a mission for 1919 to espionage after some DAP movement, that was right-wing movement, that things would change for him, not for the better. Nobody taught us that nobody wanted to allocate funds to us in a nice cabin next to a lake in nature and a mother holding a baby, that's Mother Maria and Jesus. There was no fun for that. It's much easier to frame Adolf Hitler as a failed artist that was out of the spirit of the time. I'm sorry, no great art is made in the spirit of the time. And he was exactly on the spirit of the time, because Uranus was in Taurus and he was painting Uranus in Taurus. The revolutionary act of remembering a house next to the lake and the serenity and tranquility of nature when everybody wants you to do a perpetual war, which eventually he did, and even wrote a book about it. Everybody practices Mein Kampf today, but nobody want to let you read it. And even those who read it said, oh, Hitler, he was dumb, he was this, he was that. Very easy to frame him, right? So that, God forbid, you wouldn't know how much torture goes into manufacturing the horrors that you see. Because it's much easier to talk about the human nature. Oh, what if we killed Hitler when it was a baby? Then the next thing up, oh, all these babies got that gene that is like Hitler. What's that gene? It makes your brows brown. I may have dismantled a couple of arguments they prepared for World War III. And they take you up on these things. Now, for some of you, you genuinely fall for it. For some of you, you don't fall for it, but you just think you can get away with everything. And they show you scenarios where you do get away with everything. But then they tell you don't know if you'll get caught or you won't get caught. Okay? When I was doing the channeling experiment, for me, it was around stealing food. So I stole food. Okay? When they stopped the food in the shelter, so I stole food. Well, you're going to go travel half the city, travel black. We don't know if you can come back in the freezing cold. And then somebody going to tell you they want to, I don't know for what you do. And even if you think, well, they only want me to do that and to do that. No, they're going to rape and torture, and then they're going to put you as a sexpionage. So you steal from the Alberghein, okay? A couple of cookies and some sushi, why not? I like sushi. Was no way for me to get sushi if I didn't steal it. Then you go across the bikes where all the police stays. You go back to the shelter and you imagine that you celebrate for your new house. And you jerk off on it like a good manifester. Of course, you'll get it on camera. But what the fuck does it matter? Were they planning to put you in a house? No. With a serial killer, yeah. Because they framed you from the get-go. Why I made channeling experiment? That's what happened. Just some noise and some omens. That's what happens. And then there are the people that think they were always behind the camera. You see, if you were in front of the camera, you know you were in front of the camera. I know I was in front of the camera. You're homeless. What can you do? What can you do? And then whatever place you be put at, it's a safety house, not for you. What can you do? And then there's a Starlink. And it was world safer before Starlink. What can you do? And then there is an AI. So they can make everybody put it with anything and anyone, and you got a movie. Money changes hands, money gets laundered, somebody get their fix, and then they get shot anyway. Because that's how it works. But if you think you weren't in front of the camera, then you're in front of the camera. And you better bet that it was when they were trying to frame you in the same way that maybe or maybe not you were involved in trying to frame another. Because for the alternative is that you're in camera and what you think is going to be exposed is some person that you think everybody's going to call a cum dumpster. What is actually going to be exposed in some of the cases is that you are looking at the camera and saying, oh, look, we made them do that, we made them do that, we made them do that. When everybody in the room knows, and you have to remember, of course they can do that with AI, even if it wasn't the case, but we have the ability to differentiate what was AI, what was not AI. And you know how people crave the real footages, not the AI. Everybody's gonna wanna see a person there. Not the cut feature, not the frame on frame feature. Okay? Well, the most they're gonna see me is jerking off, listening to some music with some pubic hair. That's life. If you grew up in Europe, that would not be a thing for you. If pubic hair is a thing for you, you've been watching too much snuff anyway. I'm not your problem. Getting off on something that's not dopamine addiction is... So probably, it's not a Viagra and it's not your age. You probably could be 20 even. That's neuroplasticity. It is reversible. You just got to tend to what the traumas that created that in your own life. But the thing is that for the people that think that they are behind the camera, you are the show. And I don't mean it as I record this and then people look at this, look at that, film this, film that. I tell you what they have, right? But the rest is AI. Very simply put. But the thing is, if you think you're behind the camera, and you go, oh, we gotta make them do this, oh, we gotta make them do that. Well, good morning. You are the show. Your comments on that AI, that's the show. Because what, like, who's gonna care about the, I'm sorry, who am I? Who's gonna care about this? Really? Who am I? I'm a nobody. Right? I'm just a person. Yeah, I study this, I study that, I do this, I do that, I say this, I say that. Okay, if for the 14 people that listen to me, maybe I'm a somebody. On the world scale, who the fuck cares? They care about the people that been watching this stuff, that been making this stuff, that been having reactions to this stuff. You're the show. You are the show. And that damn fucker is gonna leak like a motherfucker. It ain't about me because it's not in my hands. I'm not Elon. Like, really, who cares about me? Yeah, I'm just another commoner. I do some videos in an extremely shadow banned atmosphere. But you think you're watching a show? You are the show. Your reaction to. Nobody cares what I think, what my this, what my that. Just enough to I have a body. Okay, good morning. I have a body. No, who the fuck cares? So many bodies. Because even if when they traffic people, okay, what are they looking for? Am I Elon Musk? Am I Donald Trump? No. Am I any of the somebodies that you hear about? No. Am I any of the somebodies that are dangerous enough to the system that enough people watch them now that they want to take down them even as whistleblowers? Not even that. You could say I'm unsuccessful in that way. Am I a gigantic bait for people who would want to be putting me down? I'd want to see videos of me jerking off, or videos with the dirt underneath my nails, or videos of me picking my nose. Absolutely, I'm a gigantic bait. There's a lot of people that are, you just, okay? I'm a gigantic bait for these people. There's gigantic entertainment. If you're one of these people, I hold a place dear in your heart. I hold a place dear in my heart because, you know, what the world's going to be seeing is not this person that's like, I'm a nobody. What the world's going to be seeing, does anybody remember grab them by the pussy? Who did he say that to? I don't remember. Do you remember? I don't remember. But everybody remembers grab them by the pussy, right? You see, I can post my videos and I can talk about things and I can try to raise awareness. And I'm aware there's a lot to untangle. There's a lot to untangle. Genuinely a lot. You got generations of people growing in a Disney death camp. There is a lot to untangle. I don't fool myself that just me can do it all. And I don't fool myself that all these targeted individuals are not the targeted individuals. So let's say if I switch a word with Jag, there's going to be a gigantic production around Jag and a gigantic production around me for to try to get one to betray another. if I switch a word with Ronald Bernard, it's going to be a gigantic operation to get Ronald Bernard to rob me, and it gets okay for me to betray Ronald Bernard. That's how it works. But if you're somehow, but what is this footage used to capture is the people that are somebodies, so that they can get the old small fishy me jerking on the porch, and you got a reaction to it. Now, if you're somebody, or if you grew up to be somebody, or maybe you thought you had to sacrifice me in some way for to be a somebody, now that's interesting. Now they got something that somebody's gonna want to watch. Now they gotta grab them by the pussy. That's a sexy title. Does anybody remember the Palestinian women to whom the dresses in the IDF picture where they sit with the red dresses? Anybody that remembers, everybody knows who these women are? No, we see a couple of soldiers sitting pretty for the hug. They're asking for a hug, right? And it's not about the IDF. They could do it to they could do it to Hamas. They could do it to NATO. They could do it to Kim Jong-un. They could do it to Putin. They could do it to Iraqi soldiers. Again, you get Iraqi soldier comes back from the war, got dragged up on cocaine, filmed on this, filmed on that. Then he need to get a Section 8. Good luck with that. Now the thing is, if they force you to litigate, which is very likely what happened to Stormy Daniels. It ain't like she just was a gold digger waiting for a thing or that. No, it's like, yeah, if like you have to litigate. Okay, that's what they want. Then Trump settles it for the money. Then he does a tax evasion, because he always does a tax evasion. Then he gets done by the tax evasion. Because you see, if I'm not housed, okay, if they try to mess with my money, and they're doing crimes against humanity, then it's a crimes against humanity, and that's what they want. Okay, they're looking to give you a hug. Okay, there's a lot of commanders out there. There's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of order givers out there. There's a lot of secret society out there, just looking for, to put the next baby scene. Then they can frame me like this, frame me like that, frame me like this, frame me like that, okay? For all of that falls apart. The cure for schizophrenia is housing for us to believe the patient. Drugs I don't do, so if they catch me with drugs, it means that I was drugged up. Which fortunately was not the case up until now, but that would mean that somebody drugged me by force. That's already human trafficking. Okay, if you drag a person and you moved it from point A to point B, you human traffic them. Mentally unstable, goes back to the schizophrenia. Housing first to believe the patient that's secure. Then the framing doesn't work to get me to do crimes like with money laundering and this, Oknit, to get me to do monkey business at the job, Oknit, to make me look like the lazy dumb fuck that doesn't want to work. Well, let me tell you my CV. Want to hear my CV? Because it's going to be lengthy and there's going to be a lot of corruption. And you can't say defamation when you ask me to tell my CV. Because there are going to be a lot of people saying that they want to file for defamation if I told you my CV. Because they did a lot of corruption and I spoke the truth. Is a valid argument that stands for me. But if you ask me to talk, then I need to talk, right? The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, right? Trying to frame me sexually goes back to the schizophrenia. Now you adjoin sexual boundary violation to that because that can cause the fluctuation in sexual behavior. Good morning, you undid yourself. There's no sexual over behavior without rape involved, you understand? So it's like either you raped or you were targeting a rape victim. Either way, it doesn't look too pretty. You try to go deeper than that, good morning MK Ultra, you've just exposed yourself as a programmer. And there were won lawsuits against MK Ultra. One of them was the family of Malcolm X. Another was the apology of Bill Clinton in 1995. That Google can hide, but those search requests are gonna pop. Now what you got left with, some AI stuff, trying to sue for defamation when you know that's a Russian roulette because stuff is going to leak on you. Front to back, back to front, with all the filmography. And all of y'all got a lot of filmography for the hug. Nothing to it. It's not even me. Because somebody's going to try for you to go for me. They're going for you. Because that was never the point. They put me all of that way. If you go for me, somebody's going to play the savior. Poof! Because I'm a nobody. You're the one they're going to take out. I'm nobody. Who listens to me? 14 people? What I know, everybody knows. Every targeted individual. How many targeted individuals are in the world? At least 7 billion. 3 trillion. What I know is like a speck in the water, like what a drop in the ocean, like what I know. It's nothing. Now that's the real deal. Can they get me to assassinate you? Probably not. Can they get you to shoot me? If you're highly, highly tortured and or drugged and or incredibly dumb, maybe, yeah. Now they got you on a murder for life. They eliminated you. Are they trying to hug you? Absolutely. But what's more likely is that you had a reaction. Your inappropriate reaction and or involvement in the making of is a new grab them by the pussy, which is very useful. Now, I got a Pluto in the 12th house. 12th house placements is like a person is put in a place where they got nothing to lose. The most dangerous person in the world is a person that ain't got nothing to lose. Now, to who am I a danger right now? To no one. But you definitely don't want me honing on that and putting me further in places where I ain't got nothing to lose. And they tried everything, including my mom. And sacrificing my cats. Okay? Bank account, back 2008, they tried that too. Because there wasn't no money in my bank account, that's for sure. But to get you on crimes against humanity, if they can do that, because I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. I can write a post on Instagram. That's it. All the governments, okay, they already know what my income is, what my full name is, what my identification is, what already declared, whatever is not this, is identity theft. So that, okay? And if they try to fumble with the fact that they got the emails, that's gonna pop. And somebody would be very interested in framing them, right? There's so many things, so many forces right now with this globalization. So you see, I may not be this successful, viral, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I alone, yes, I don't save the world. I alone don't save the world. We have Pluto in Aquarius. It's not Pluto's soul. It's not the solitary hero. Never been back then either. But, I alone don't save the world. But if they can use me to bait you to have a reaction and to catch you doing crimes against humanity involving in money laundering, in land grab, they just annihilated another person that's going to do stuff like that as a competition. I simply am not interesting. Let's put it very plainly and very simply put. I am not that interesting. It's both the reason that I got into that situation, because who am I? I'm just a nobody. Just another targeted individuals in the galaxy of targeted individuals. And what's interesting is if they can get you to react on something, whether it's a movie or something I said, and they can get you to money launder, or they can get you to, if they catch you and you're somebody involved with that, okay, now they got themselves a fish, because I'm a sardine. Very nourishing when it comes in hundreds, but not enough when it comes in one. I'm one sardine amongst the many, many sardines. Nobody's gonna care for whatever film you filmed of me, okay? If you think of people not gonna know this is AI, this is not AI, they very simply put are not going to care, because who is this girl? It's just another snuff film in a galaxy of snuff films. I'm just another person who talks a lot on YouTube, who listens, the who. And it's not for nothing that I'm making no moves without tending to MK Ultra. I got my favorite musician to block me over that. Because I cannot make a move without tending to the death camps of children. I cannot make any business move. Okay, I cannot make too much money move. I cannot do anything that, okay, that I can be an income for me or support for me, because there comes the MK again. Cannot do anything of that. But if they can get you to react, if they can get you to mingle with the money launderer, if they can get you over that, then a couple of sardines, a couple of 100, 1,000 of sardines, that I'm just one of, now they got something, and they got something by the hundreds, because they're gonna film your reaction for each and every one of these sardines. And everybody's doing something. There's so many hidden talents there on YouTube that probably anybody's doing something that we don't know, that I wouldn't even know. And that's what it is. But if you think you orchestrated something, you were behind the camera, they're gonna know. You're gonna be framed. I cannot, at this point, I cannot even do anything about this. Maybe you were drugged in, you had some stupid reaction. I cannot even do anything about this. Let's take a bigger example. Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. Did Monica Lewinsky want to expose Bill Clinton? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. She was processing this thing. She was, I don't know, both starstruck and this. She was shocked when she found out his reaction, because he was playing very gentleman to her, but very different type of character in another sphere. But did she expose that? No. A trusted, a confidant exposed that for her. Was she framed? Absolutely. In essence, who do we talk about more, Monica Lewinsky or Bill Clinton? And after the Me Too, how do we talk about Monica Lewinsky? Whereas, what do we think about Bill Clinton? Oh, it wasn't just Monica Lewinsky, it was also an Epstein ring. And then he apologized for MK Ultra. Then you apologize for the clones. Okay? Did Monica Lewinsky get justice? Absolutely not. Because this is not about Monica Lewinsky, it was about Bill Clinton. And they get you on the thing that ticks you off. They get you on the thing that you lose respect for, or what would make you to lose respect? What would make you to frame that person? What would make you to this? What would make you that? They work on that, and it works on that for massive amount of time. And then they remind you that you're a programmer, that you did that. That's the psychological, intense abuse that's going on in these cults. Now, of course, Mars ruling Rahu and Rahu with Neptune, they want to make MK Ultra a viral thing. I'm not a viral figure. I can try to speak as much as I can. I'm not a viral figure here. You understand? And they try to make me a double agent and like a whistleblower or whatnot, but it's like, I see for this cult and I'm like, hey, if I get tortured, we're not doing justice here. And I don't consent, and I never consented. I wake up every night 2-3 times with dry eyes. I try to make weird magic. And yet I'm just another nobody in the galaxy of nobodies that wake up in 2-3 a.m. every single night. They would look to cancel every narrative that they possibly can. Only right now people begin to talk about people in the music industry being Fed's informant. Of course they are. Every point of influence is intelligence. Nobody as I am, the minute I did the channeling experiment, you got an MK Ultra on the line. The tree of life, the tree of death, pick your death, memento mori. I didn't know what it was. But you try to navigate your way. What is this thing? What is this thing? Is this? And then it's like, no, don't talk to me like that. No, this I don't accept. That was my way out. Then, of course, you will be framed as the one who doesn't have respect because they torture you. And when they do it from afar, then you're psychotic. But the cure for psychosis is housing first and to believe the patient. And then they play on that, but nobody hears you now. We need to understand, how do we bring the message to the masses? Well, not through a washing, that's for sure. Not through the inversion of whistleblowing, that's for sure. And so you end up in this not too important, not important enough. But the thing is that it's the masses of people that are way more than my level of understanding of the dumb fuckery, because they've been tending to that. If you've been tending to your 401k and you actually took the time, you're like, okay, what am I actually invested in? Where does that come from? What is compound interest? How does it compound? Then you know that way earlier than me. I never thought I'll have money to buy a house. I never thought I'll have, okay, as of 2008, I never thought I'll have in general. So I didn't look for investments because I never thought I'll have. And then after 2008, I was like, I'm your bully collies. They gave me a pill that made me spend money. And then the judge says to me, a decade after, I deal every day. You have no idea with how many cases of people got into debt with those pills. I never thought I'll have. So I never checked what happens when you have. And then I'm like, now I know what happens when you have. Well, there's a groundbreaking research in cure for psychosis with olanzapine for a decade, with billions of lawsuits. Okay, and now there is this new magnetic, non-invasive magnetic treatment for mental health. Okay, that's changing the electricity of your brain. There is nothing more invasive than that. Your brain, in Chinese, the word for brain, I don't remember the Chinese word, but is an electric brain or electric. Oh, the word for computer is electric brain. The brain is electric. Magnets. Richard Feynman, magnets. Okay? Watch that episode and think about the brain. The world from another point of view. Richard Feynman, magnets. I won't ruin it for you. There is nothing more invasive for your brain than magnets. We have them everywhere. Gravity. But you see, when I'm saying that, and I'm going to upload, there are going to be 20 views top. Usually around 6 views, and sometimes 0 views. But if you are getting caught in the drama, they're going to care about it. Prince Harry, there was some porn scandal. You remember back in the days? Do you remember who the girls were? No, nobody remembers, right? Me neither. But remember, Prince Harry had some sex scandal. You're the Prince Harry here. For you, it's going to haunt you for years. For me, nobody's going to remember that. They mostly say, aren't you that girl that, yeah, they torture everyone. What, you want to be up next? Yeah, they also tortured me. Okay, so I thought you were going to say I'm like a cum dumpster. Because by that time, they would be tortured. That's the thing. That's the point. And they want to get at you because maybe you said something against WHO. Maybe you have a relative that says something against WHO. Maybe you began to whistleblow. That's way more important because it's you. You see, Feynman can talk a little bit around teeth, then he'll be patient of cancer. That's what happened. He died of cancer. Peter can insinuate something about the WHO. They get the Moroccan to betray him. Okay? When I speak, you say, oh, nobody listens, but nobody listens to you. Well, I speak. Whoever listens, listens. Whoever doesn't listen, doesn't listen. The contracts which I would have to very not willingly consent to if I wanted to be a tiny bit more viral are contracts with the devil. I do not consent. But if you were either, I don't know, drugged enough, or if it was continuous, dumb enough to allow yourself to be framed by those who framed me, an absolute nobody, the loser here, the real loser here, okay, is not that nobody who's anyway a nobody. I don't know what will be with me. We all have expiration date. But all they really want is to get a reaction from somebody that's entrusted with something. And we made her do that, or we money laundered on that, or oh, that person is so and so, is way more interesting than that person that they won't remember. It's Pluto Aquarius. You see with Pluto Aquarius, right now Venus is in Aquarius. The nice conversation you have with a random stranger about life is more enjoyable than whatever legacy. Okay, it's not that legacy is not important, but it's a different timing. It's a different, Pluto Aquarius it's a different thing. It's not an age of celebrities. It is an age of patterns. We are going to be viewing things from a nervous system point of view, intergalactically. Those are words that are safe to say in Aquarius. And we are going to be discerning for their origins. So actually there's going to be revival of a lot of things that you think, oh, you delete that YouTube channel or that thing that's lost in the mist. No, it was recorded in some wavelength into the space. And just like this dumbfuckery MK thing is, okay, and all kinds of gate program thing is, they document that and they collect that and they fumble with times around that, then future humanity will be able to do that at first from a mitigated place and then tapping into more and more things. At first people are going to get the telepathy of MK Ultra like I did when I did channeling experiment. Okay, I got a little omen from Peter, then immediately I got a lot of noise. That's it. Okay, I got interesting stuff and I got MK Ultra stuff. But then later people are going to be more discerning and they're going to have a revival of that and they're going to be able to tap into timelines and timelines and timelines and timelines. Whatever that contribution is a contribution. Okay? It's a wavelength, it's a gravity contribution. It's not something that I'm able to understand or to fully absorb or understand from the time of speech. But that's just life, okay? It's those contributions that you make that millennia after, you think back and you're like, oh, those couple of anonymous people had a point. Who were they? You don't remember. You remember the idea. But you see, that's what they destroy when they assassinate people. They don't assassinate a person, they assassinate an idea. They can't assassinate your idea because in the end, for the very long while, they're not going to even know who you are, but that idea stays still. Okay? So it's pretty futile. But on a day-to-day basis, I can say that growing up 12 years old into an assassination of a prime minister that was coming even a slight bit close, okay, with even the beginning of a foreplay for peace, got done, and that was a very gigantic show. On the 12 years old me, it left a mark that the 40 years old me only begins to decipher. Another thing that leaves a mark is when, with a person that you are a fan of, or you look up to, or this or that, okay, get caught saying something, doing something, okay, you think about grabbing them by the pussy. When I was young and I watched Donald Trump, I knew he's a very, very talented businessman. Yeah, you're losing more business than you win. That's business. That's the nature of business. And he signed this prenuptial thingy, which is important. If you got a lot of money, you need to sign a prenuptial. So he transformed marriage and transformed the divorce. Okay? And that's what I knew about Mr. Donald Trump. Okay? Go back to post grab it by the pussy. Everybody knows about Donald Trump. He's grab it by the pussy. That's powerful. So much so that when they interviewed Melania, she said, I don't agree with every frat boy joke, but it's not the whole picture of Donald Trump. Who remembers that? If you saw some footages he has with Epstein, okay, that seals the deal. That was on X. They're looking for the grab it by the pussy. They're looking for that. If you give them that, they got that. That's another way to assassinate you. You see, when I was going through that MK Ultra dumb fuckery that you call sexual assault or sexual harassment in 2017, I wasn't hunting for that person because I knew it's a part of a cult. What would it help me to go manhunting when I need to think, if I go another job, I sit in another this, then what? It's not even about you will be seen as a serial complaining person. Not even that. Who's got money and time for all these lawsuits? How do we change something from the core? So I wrote a satire about the cult. And then you say, Shirley, now you wonder why you're targeted individual. Well, I was targeted before that. They orchestrated for the entire meeting. I wasn't supposed to be his TA. Then the secretary told me that he wanted me there, and he told me that the secretary wanted me there. The secretary was Mason, he was Mason. Which means a double agent. Long story short, it is what it was. And then everybody's like, you want to litigate, you want to litigate, you want to litigate. The fuck no. Hey, they work with the police and they work with the court system, who is already corrupt. The court system corruption is more terrible to me than his corruption. He's one person in a sea of corruption. Then I also wanted to give him a right to exit violence, to exit the cult. And I also understood that if he goes to therapy, there isn't really therapy. And if I didn't get that, and after Itamar on, I would get that. But did they get him on that? Very likely. They didn't get him on me. How did he respond or reacted? They'd get him on that. Because that's interesting. And I wouldn't know a thing. I've never been there. One of the reasons I didn't litigate, like if I wanted out of this connection, okay, if it's this contract or this or this, that, okay, if it was a TA, I wanted out of that job, then I'm not going to litigate. That's a Catholic wedding. Some people have less marriage years than the time it gets to process. A friend of mine litigated 8 years. Some people married 2.5 times by that. 3.7 children. I didn't look to marry the guy. I looked to get out of there. Money, it ain't about him. If he's doing that, he would need to recover. He would need also housing first, and without the ability to work, because if that's what he's doing at work, right? That's a shit ton of money. Not from him. Who benefits from that? That's where the money needs to reallocate itself. That's where the money needs to move. Okay? He doesn't benefit from that. You better bet. Better bet. I sure did not benefit from that. You better bet. Any debt I had would be cancelled anyway, because that's the law. And anyway, for the judge of what he said, well, that is the case that I treat every day, for they give person pills for that crisis, for the worst of financial crisis, and then for they go out and invest money. Every day I deal with such a case for those pills, every day, a decade after. But those that benefited from that, they're going to have to make the money move. It's housing first, independent of ability to work. It's compatible with claustrophobia and agoraphobia for indefinite time, and to believe the testimony. For that person, he's got a testimony, you better bet. You better bet. That's more important. Okay? Now, the minute anybody saw that I think like that, they would try everything in the book to get at me. I wasn't dumb. I knew that was going to happen. They sent 3 ladies. I said Valentine's Day. I said ladies. They said, we trigger when we hear your name. I said, it's a very simple solution to that, ladies. Why are you doing the dirty job for the man? He says it's sexual harassment. So you better bet it will be if you won't stop it. And Valentine's Day, cured it up. I said to the lady that was supposed to have an agency in the structure, well, if you have no agency in the structure, then that's what I was aiming at, that you have no agency in the structure, you can't help it, that's why I didn't litigate. And you have some agency in the structure, well, withdraw that freaking lawsuit. Which she did. But she still holds the satire. She better bet she does, because that would be destroying evidence that she needs to keep. For the sexual harassment phrasing in which they closed the case. Like for some libidinal fantasies or whatever. I jerk off on other things. Now, if you got caught in that drama, they already know how I work, so they weren't baiting for me. You need to remember, 2008 was in a situation where it was debt and they made me take a loan from the bank. Okay? I stood up to the bank, Leumi Bank. If you know, you know. The corruption I exposed in Leumi Card, the daughter company of Leumi Bank. Okay? Got the asteroid fair banking next to my Venus. It ain't for nothing I talk about Hitler a lot. I want you to think Muammar Gaddafi, but without the Viagra rape. I want you to think Adolf Hitler, but not a racist. And not a transphobic, and not an ableist. They know that. I didn't know that. They paid attention. They looked it up. That person won against a lawsuit with the bank. I ain't the one to litigate. You see? I never litigated. When they ain't going after me for any defamation, because they have something in the box. Okay? They don't try to frame me for no defamation because they have something in the box. And they don't and they don't try to frame me as crazy, because if they are on the lawsuit, if they are on the next olanzapine lawsuit, this is shilumim until the day that I die. Okay? I want you to let's do it again. Let's wrap it up again, okay? If they try to frame me as crazy, that means they get their name on the next lawsuit against the olanzapine or the next electric dumbfuckery. That is shilumim for life. If you don't know what is shilumim, I want you to look out. It's HAISHILOMIM. Google it. Okay? That is shilumim. If they get their name on the shilumim, and you better bet they will, Because they would be the ones that put me there when the cure for schizophrenia is housing first. And two, mic drop, believe the patient, they get their name on the shilumim. They were looking for a freaking defamation over what? An outcaring? So, if they're smart, they're not going to try to frame me as crazy. Trying to frame me as a drug-related person for a person that has Dutch nationality but doesn't like even weed would be an incredible stretch. In fact, it would be such a stretch that they could tear a ligament. You want to think Jean-Claude Van Damme? Okay? I went through homelessness with some cedar wood and lavender and frankincense. Okay? So now reimagine the stretch. If you ain't a freaking ballerina, I don't suggest you to attempt that. Emotionally unstable. Like I said, I went through homelessness with a fucking mint. Grand masturbator, they got that. You're gonna put me in a prison cell for a shelter? I'm gonna masturbate to get the hell out of it. Let's manifest. Let's manifest a home. Put on some frankincense and talk to Jesus. You want to frame me as a klepto? That would be tremendously fascinating. What did you steal? A cup and some food and some deodorants and some gloves. Maybe a tiny crystal. I put it in my passport so that maybe I will be believed. And supported with the paperwork. Really klepto. Then you get the person that decides which children go to satanic ritual abuse and has a tendency to write something in that is sexually abusive towards women he had to make a professional opinion about to decide whether to take their children to satanic ritual abuse, this money laundering or not. Of course, he must have very interesting things to say. Like there, for his imagination, there are children in it, there are dogs in it, there's my mother. There's me telling him what were his sexual fantasies that he may got on tape. Not because I was channeling. And then there was me saying that it feels safer to sleep with a dead body, which of course I wouldn't do. That would give you a fungi of dead bodies. I actually wrote a movie about it as Sister Spooky. It won the #1 in the LA Film Festival in 2008. It was an urban legend where the guy, where a woman has a fungi of dead bodies, and then she finds out that her husband sleep with bodies. Yes, I do have a toenail fungi. I don't remember ever sleeping with a dead body. Of course, AI can arrange that. By the way, I never got any dividends from that movie monetarily. It was called Alma. The only thing he would have is fits upon fits of rage that I was on to that MK Ultra right in 2007, but I didn't know to name it that way. And I wasn't even letting him in on that because I didn't trust him. That's life. So you see, Rahu Neptune is a gigantic leak of things. Now, it's very simply put. If you got a conflict, if you're sitting in a secret society, that means you got a conflict of interest with literally everything. That means that any attempt to get at you is a kidnapping attempt, and you're allowed to get free by any means necessary. Very simply put. Just so you know, if you're one of the 14. It wasn't all thought out or calculated. Okay, it's just a side effect of being authentic to myself and tending to political assassination prevention. That's it.